NXT Takeover Toronto is the night before Survivor Series, and it's the first time, for at least Survivor Series goes, it has been in Canada in general since the Montreal Screwjob in 1997. Almost 10 years, almost 20 years even, to that incident. I don't believe it's actually going to be in Montreal. Well, Survivor Series at least. Let me just double check that real quick, just so I don't. No, it's in Toronto as well. So we don't have to go through that ordeal. Although they will probably try to recreate some kind of screw job since they're in Canada, and that's what WWE does almost every time they're in Canada. So yeah. With that though, we have three huge matches already made, and of course one still being technically made, but like the tournament's still going on. We'll just go for that real quick with the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Just starting off here, just so because it's a big kind of mess to begin with. A lot of these matches are a mess, but we'll get to them in a minute. First off, though, the Dusty Rhodes Classic. A lot of teams are in the. So as far as we know, there's only, I think, maybe two teams that haven't qualified yet. Even though this graphic really shows little spoilers here, I won't really go into that. But we have a lot of teams so far. We have TM61 already advanced to the quarterfinals. We have this week's surprise last night of Austin Aries and Roderick Strong. The debuting Roderick Strong, they defeated a team called Heavy Machinery. It was Tucker Knight and Otis, I don't know how to say this last name, Dozovic, something like that. Probably botched it, but whatever. And you have Sandy already qualifying. You have Offers of Pain already advancing. No, wait, Jose and Rich Swann and the Revival, which means there's only two spots left. The winner of Kota Ibushi and TJ Perkins, which it was going to be a dream team of Ibushi and Hideo Itami against Lindsay Dorado and Mustafa Ali. But Hideo got injured again, unfortunately. So TJ Perkins, the Cruiserweight champion, will take his place. So it would be TJP and Ibushi versus Lindsay Dorado and Mustafa Ali. And the final spot would be DIY, Gargano and Ciampa against Ho Lun and Tan Bing, which I assume is the signing they made from China. Ben Wong, or whatever his name was, or Wong Bing, or however you say it exactly. I don't really know. But that classic is going on. Dusty Rhodes Classic is a great event. It was great last year, and it'll be great again this year. We don't know who's going to the semifinals at that point, or the quarterfinals for some matches. So we'll get to that as we go. But for right now, out of the teams that have made it, I want to say Sanity goes all the way. I'm not sure. I want to say Sanity goes all the way just because it's a new team. You want to get them over as possible, or they could have a DQ like they did with Nikki Cross and still get over a little bit. But you have a hell of a team, a stable even in Nikki Cross, the former Nikki Storm, Eric Young. Who are the other two guys? I swear one of them looked like Tommy End, but that was not Tommy End. That was actually Sawyer Fulton, who looked totally different. And Alexander Wolf, the German guy that they have for NXT in the Performance Center. But those four in general could hold all the gold technically in NXT. I feel like they could. I don't know if that'll ever happen. But because, once you win a belt in NXT, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to get called to the main roster. But I don't know if that's going to be possible. But I feel Sandy goes all the way. And if I was going to pick another team, I would say maybe, just because they're not in that bracket, I would have said Strong and Aries. But if they win their semifinal match against TM61, they'd be facing Sanity. So I don't know how that would work. But I would feel like maybe the Offers of Pain, maybe, just because they have a legendary manager in Paul Ellering by their side. But I don't know if that's enough. But, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of great matches in this Dusty Rhodes Classic for the late, great Dusty Rhodes. It sucks that Cody's not a part of it because he can't present the trophy because he's in TNA, but Dustin can still do it, so that's good. Speaking of the Dusty Rhodes Classic, we have two men that were a team that lost to Sanity. And honestly, it made sense for that to happen. But Ty Dillinger will face Bobby Roode in Toronto, of all places. These are two Canada boys, two Canada exports that have been great talents over the years. And this match, is for the honor of Dusty Rhodes at this point because Dillinger was going to be in this Dusty Rhodes Classic, didn't have a partner. Roode stepped up. Roode saw Sanity and wisely got out of there as Sanity fucking killed Dillinger. But, that is what it is. And they have the match because of it now at TakeOver Toronto. I feel like this could be a good coming out for Dillinger to maybe get to that main event level in NXT. Since you have a bona fide main eventer in Bobby Roode to carry him for the match. Not that he can't carry him, and nothing against Ty Dillinger. He's been at this for, maybe a decade now. People might forget that he was Stan in that famous DX sketch where Sean, got so upset he kicked Stan, and he said, "See, I just kicked Stan." I think it was a Taboo Tuesday thing back in the day for something, maybe a referee or something. But it was something about Sean not being controversial, so he super kicked everyone down the hallway. It was fucking great. But nonetheless, Stan has grown up a lot since then. So I feel like Dillinger, he needs this win more than anything. Next up, a big match that was announced almost right away for this show. Asuka defends the NXT Women's Championship against the returning Mickie James. Now, this was originally going to be Trish Stratus, but she got pregnant with another child. Congratulations to her, by the way. But because of that, it kind of does ruin would have been an amazing homecoming for Stratus, and would have been the toughest test for Asuka. Nonetheless, Mickie James is still a tough test for Asuka. But I feel like if Stratus was not pregnant at the moment, that would have been the toughest test for Asuka, not only in NXT, but her entire career. But even so, Mickie James is kind of also that same tough test for Asuka. We've never seen her really challenged. The last time was against Bayley, and that match could have went either way, but it was Asuka being dominant as usual. She's destroyed everyone in the roster, so you need to bring someone outside to be a dominant threat to someone, and Mickie James is that threat. And with that being said, I feel like it's kind of obvious that Mickie won't win the match. Because, to be honest, what point would it make? You go down the developmental when they're developmental belt. Even though NXT has now become a brand of its own, and people don't look at it as a developmental, technically it still is. And if you were going to have Mickie James win that match, then it wouldn't make sense. Maybe if she was coming back to the division, you can use it that way. But I feel like Asuka uses to legitimize her. And Mickie is a great talent, but I really do not see her winning the belt, especially since her first night back in the WWE since 2010, and with the whole Piggy James thing. So times may have changed in the WWE, but I don't think they'll do that. It's a great opportunity, but I don't think it'll happen. When we come back, though, we'll go for the main event.